Hello there. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. I'm Tommy, and this is the Blitzcast, episode 19. Before we get into the content of this week's episode of the Blitzcast, be sure to check out all the links in the description below. A huge announcement. And actually, as part of this announcement, if you already checked out the video on my channel, you might have listened to this episode early. It is the official announcement of the Blitz Transmissions Patreon. If you'd like, there is a whole video on my channel where I explain the Patreon. There's also a link in the description below, as well as my link tree. For $5 a month, you get extra benefits like monthly giveaways, early content, a private Discord channel, the works. I'm very excited about this. It's great to be in a position with this channel where I'm basically back where I was previously with my previous channel that I was with. So it's good to be on that same level so quickly with my solo channel. So very happy about that. It's very good. The hard work pays off. And yeah, if you put in the work, if you put sacrifice and you put in the effort, it pays off pretty quick. So definitely check out the Patreon. I also have a channel membership on my YouTube channel. If you like, you can see that's just the action figure reviews early. If you guys like to see that stuff, you can join that. And then my Instagram, both Instagram pages, Discord, X. I have links for my podcast on some of the platforms that it's on. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. But yeah, definitely I'm super excited about the Patreon. And I'm once again joined by my regular co-host now. I don't know why I make a stink about it. It's Jen. Jen's here. She shows up every week. Jen, how are we doing?
Doing very well, actually.
How's your podcast?
My podcast is doing really well. Had my first full episode this past Sunday, and new episodes are every Sunday.
Nice.
Really great feedback coming in from it. Getting some numbers, but I'm really excited about it. It's a fun passion project for me. And
good.
Yeah, check it out.
Check it out.
The Real Normal Pod. It's mostly like boring, like lifestyle lady stuff. So, yeah. But please check it out if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Aside from that, things been good. You're back at work. Mm-hmm. I'm back at work.
It's hard.
But we've been doing really good with our at home stuff. I think this last couple weeks, kind of locking in on.
Yeah, we were so. Tommy actually had a full week off from work for Christmas, and so I almost got used to it, unfortunately. Yeah, so right. Now it's back to reality.
Yeah.
Little tough on the sleep schedule, but it's all good.
It is what it is, man. So we have just a little bit of news to cover this week before we get into our main topic, which is episode 7 of Skeleton Crew. Yeah, so there's been some rumors popping around. James Mangold, who is supposed to be writing and directing the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which is supposed to take place 25,000 years before The Phantom Menace, where the Force is discovered. The Ashla and the Bogan.
Okay.
We have, he came out and said that the script is written, so.
Okay.
He said that he doesn't plan to have anything be connected to anything in the Skywalker saga.
Oh, okay.
So that's like the big thing that people are talking about right now.
I think when you told me about that, whenever that was announced, maybe multiple years ago, I thought that the Acolyte was that.
Oh, no.
And that's why when we started watching it, I was like, isn't this like the crazy one from like 1,000? And you're like, no, it's like,
couple hundred years.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. I thought they were the same thing.
No, this is a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a movie. Self-contained. Yeah, I mean it sounds like it's gonna be pretty cool. We'll see if it actually comes out. You guys know by now how I feel about Star Wars movie announcements. They usually don't end up panning out at all. But I mean, hey, we have a script written, allegedly. So that's farther than most of the Star Wars movie announcements go nowadays. So, yeah, I hope it comes out. I think it'll be cool just to get away from, again, that's why I like Skeleton Crew so much. Part of it is just how disconnected we are from the Skywalker family. It's nice to just not have to try and connect everything to other characters and this group of characters and that, blah, blah. It's awesome. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I love a little bit of lore,
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. Sounds like it's a cool idea.
Yeah. And then there is one other rumor that's been circulating around that I guess Lucasfilm might be kicking up discussion on doing an Old Republic era series again, which is like 1,000 to 2,000 years before Phantom Menace. It's the era before the High Republic. This is the time where like the Sith had like 1,000 of them. It was like the Sith basically took over the galaxy for a little bit. I don't see this going anywhere. Lucasfilm has been kicking around this idea for several years now. And for some reason everyone is fan casting Keanu Reeves to be Darth Revan, who is the main character of the Old Republic video games. Keanu Reeves is like 60 years old now, so, I don't think he'd be good for the role. But yeah, I don't know. That's another one that I'm like, cool that they're throwing it around, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And it's sad that I have that, like, much of a cynical and jaded, like, look at Star Wars announcements. Not that this has been officially announced or anything, just they're kicking around. It's like, whistleblower stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Thoughts on that?
That would be cool too. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people would want for it to be a like Game of Thrones style show. Or
in what way? Like
the scope of it and like the depth of the conflict and things like that. Yeah, like an epic. Lord of the Rings would be another good one. It's a huge armies of just thousands and thousands of good guys and bad guys just going head to head, different factions, different merciless killings and things like that.
There's plenty of that in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, just not the
bloody kind.
Yeah, not the bloody kind and not the unclothed.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's plenty of that in Game of Thrones, too. I was watching Game of Thrones, like, this past year.
I remember this.
And I ended up I stopped watching it because I was watching it by myself and it was a little too much for me.
Wow.
But
it probably means I'd love it.
I feel like every time Tom walked into the room, it was like some
concubine.
Yeah, raunchy. Like, it's like the brothel scenes, and I'm like, this isn't the whole show.
I swear.
You just walked in.
Jen, what website are you on right now?
Like, it was so awkward, and I'm like trying to pause it before it's like just stuck on a naked woman, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. So it's a little insight on.
Yeah. When it comes to Old Republic, I'll make this brief. I might actually do a video on this topic. I think an Old Republic series is just destined to fail. I think because you have like 20 years now of Old Republic video games that have been constantly like MMORPGs, story-based games, like you just had novels. There's so much expectation. Essentially, the series, in my opinion, the only way that a series like in this era could succeed would be if it was an adaptation of novels or video games. And even then, I think it's destined to fail because I think that the fan base that grew up with Old Republic and the fan base of those games have been in it for so long. I think it's, don't quote me on this, okay? It's either, sometimes I get mixed up between Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic. Whatever one Darth Malgus is in, that one is still being up. There was just a content drop for that like a year ago, like an expansion. So it's still something that's still actively being worked on, and there's hotly debated whether it's canon or not. That's why I don't focus too much on any of it.
Well, and there's a risk of it doing the same thing that happened with the Uncharted movie, where like people that played the Uncharted games thought that the movie was going to be like another adventure.
Yes.
That Nathan Drake went on, but it was like a combination of multiple things from the video games, but also new things. And it was like, oh, so you're not using all the lore that's from the video games. Like, it would either have to be an exact adaptation of a story that's already
been told on screen now. Yeah.
Or it has to be completely new.
Yeah.
But with using the source material as like canon. I think that's where it would be like,
and that's where I think it's doomed to fail no matter what. I think it will be underwhelming to not just Old Republic fans, but the casual audience might just find it flat.
Yeah.
Because it is, that era is so lore heavy. That era has so many names, so many characters. It is, and especially if you want to include a character like Darth Revan or Darth Malgus or, a Satele Shan, Bastila Shan, there's, plenty of characters you could throw in there. I just don't, because of how, and I hate to say it, but because of how sloppy they can be with adaptations, because they either give the writing team too much freedom or they just don't understand the pre-existing character. I don't think that it would succeed. And it's funny because it's something that Star Wars fans say they want. I want an Old Republic series. I want to. Do you though? That's my question. Like, have you thought it through?
Well, and you're right. It would have to, like, it sounds like it would have to be at a Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings budget and like effort scale for it to be successful.
It's like how I feel about the Hobbit movies. Right. I love the book. I've read the book 3 or 4 times. And I'm not a fan of the movies because they changed so much and added in like a love story between one of the dwarves and an elf. And I'm like, that's just, I get like you're trying to switch it up and do something different, but don't. You're basing it off of a book.
Right.
So just do what the book did. People are going to watch it and they're going to give it more praise for being faithful to the pre-existing story that it's literally copying from anyway. So adding in all these extra things like that to me just isn't worth it. If you want to make like some of the fight scenes longer, if you want to make, some of the travel scenes a little more abbreviated for the sake of pacing, go for it. But I don't believe that it would work. That's why I say that if my biggest want from that era would be Mandalorian Wars, where it was in the Old Republic era, the Mandalorians and the Jedi. It's talked about in The Mandalorian how the Jedi are the ancient enemy of the Mandalorians. They had war after war after war in the Old Republic era. And I think that would be a great story to tell because there's comics in that, and part of that conflict is in the Old Republic games where Darth Revan literally like goes rogue. He was a Jedi at one point. Long story. He was a Jedi and a Sith, and then he was a Jedi again canonically. But there's a point where like he goes against the Jedi Council, goes and saves this planet from Mandalorians. And I think that if you stay away from that and just focus on other parts of that bigger conflict, you could have a really cool show in there. That's all that I think would work though. For the way that Star Wars fans are. Or you would have to have like the biggest Old Republic Star Wars fan be the writer of the show. That's the only, and they're not going to do that. Anyways, that's my rant. So, thoughts? Anything?
I mean,
would you be interested if they came out and said that there was a series that it's going to focus on Mandalorian Wars versus the Jedi, like 1,000 years before the prequels?
Sure.
And it's like a Game of Thrones style show, very medieval, very.
Well, it wouldn't be medieval.
The style is what I mean.
I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But mostly, I'm just thinking, any type of adaptation,
Yeah.
You're never gonna have everyone happy because, especially if the source material is mostly from books.
Yeah.
Everyone's interpreting how it's played out in their head differently.
That's a good point.
I think when people change plot points, that's where they'll get me on my pedestal there. But I think there's always going to be some type of discourse of like, that's not what that place looks like. That's not how that person talked.
Yeah.
Like, there's always, I don't know, stuff like that where I know that people said that, like, in the Hunger Games movies that, like, oh, like, Katniss wouldn't have really talked like that. Like,
right.
Oh, she was, like, not as passive as that. Or, like, you don't know how she said that line in the book. Your brain made it up.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what Suzanne Collins decided she was supposed to sound. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's always that. But, I mean, I have plenty of thoughts about... Like, I have plenty of books that I don't want any type of adaptation, like movie adaptation. People always ask for like, oh, let's make this fantasy series some type of movie or show. And I'm like, please don't, because they're just going to disappoint me and I don't care. Like, so there's that side of it too of sometimes it's okay to just not and just, if people want to do their own research and read all the books and play the video games, they can, but sometimes it's okay to let it lie. I
agree. So, anything else on this topic, or are you good?
No, I mean, okay. I could talk about books and adaptations forever, but that's not why we're here.
We are here to talk about episode 7 of Skeleton Crew, the penultimate episode of the series. So, going into this episode, Jen, I guess I should say first thoughts, just general thoughts on this episode. How are we feeling?
Well, before you even look it up, it's called We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble.
Yep, there you go.
And I remember it because I said, oh, this one's called. We had lots of thoughts last week.
All right.
This week, I said this when we finished the episode. It was what I expected, but also in a way that I didn't expect it.
Yeah, that's true.
And, I knew that Jod, there was going to be some type of conflict with Jod.
Yeah.
We knew that he was a bad guy. And we know that he's greedy and he's a pirate.
Yeah.
But,
I just gotta say, when I said last week that Jod's not necessarily a bad guy, I redact every statement I made last week where I said that he's not a bad guy. This dude is the bad guy of the show, and I'm very surprised. I mean, I should have seen it coming with the snake-like theme that always came up with Jod.
I thought and he might, who knows what happens in the last episode, but I was fully convinced that he was gonna have some type of, redemption arc. Yeah. I fear no redemption.
No, I fear no redemption. So... this episode had a couple of real jaw-dropping moments that I was really the first one, and honestly, I'm more upset about this character death than the other. Dude, Pirate Brutus got point-blank headshotted by Jod in this episode, and it was all the kid's fault. It was their fault that he died. Mm-hmm. They got him killed. I couldn't believe that. That was nuts. Yeah. And again, though, we have with Jod with the metal objects and the Force. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. I think it's totally a trick. I think it's totally...
it was a little bit more of a close-up with the handcuffs.
The binders. They're called binders.
Sorry.
In Star Wars. God.
I'm the worst.
God. I have a pair.
Fake fan.
I have a pair.
Yeah, I know.
In the room right over here.
Yep. You want to go grab them?
From Galaxy's Edge. Yep. Keep talking. I'm going to go grab them.
He wants to show his binders.
I can put them on and take them off all on my own.
Cool. That scene, that's not the kind that he had on, though.
I know. Those are pirate ones. These are official. To make it all official.
Here, you put your wrist in the other one. Us at our wedding.
Game over, man. Anyways, are we gonna keep these on the rest of the episode?
Yeah.
Okay. We are bound to Skeleton Crew. So
stupid.
So with this episode, you know, we really get Jod is revealed as the big bad of the show. I mean, he really is.
Yeah. I don't know. I shouldn't be so shocked by it, but I fear. Maybe it's the Jude Law of it all. I was like, he has to be redeemed at some point, right?
Yeah.
And he just puts on his glasses like in The Holiday, and then he's a good guy again. I don't know. It was, like I said, like I knew he's a pirate. We knew that, you know, there was gonna be some kind of confrontation this episode.
Yeah.
But I did not expect it to be as crazy.
Yeah, man.
As it was, and I did not expect Jod to just be like, you know, crying into the piles of money and like shooting people point blank in the face. And what else? What else did he do?
Chopped SM-33's head off.
Yeah.
Was mean to the kids.
Always.
He was really mean to he was really laying into him. He got them all, man. All 4 of them.
Yeah, he's like, one would be like, don't talk to her like that. It's like, you shouldn't be talking either. It just kept going.
He's a phenomenal actor. That was some fantastic acting from him again in this episode. These last couple episodes, he's really had some time to shine. Are you trying to take these off now?
No, not at all. Just playing with it.
All right. Anyways. SM-33, what's the deal? I don't think he's dead. They're going to put him back together.
No, I think it's going to be a little, like, head plug-in situation. I think KB is going to break out her little wire that she has and just boop, boop, need to go.
So I heard an interesting theory from our friends over at Sarlacc Digest podcast that SM-33, or the rat in his eye, is Tak Renaud, the pirate captain of the Onyx Cinder. What are your thoughts on that theory? Because they were saying, the kids make a point that they don't see Tak Renaud's face. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the supervisor, because we heard the supervisor's voice. I
think the supervisor's like a fake.
I think the supervisor might be a Jedi. You're gonna need someone to fight Jod with that lightsaber.
We'll see.
Or maybe Wim will still have his Force moment.
I don't know. I think that the supervisor, like, it's all a ploy. I don't know.
You don't think? But we heard him talk in this episode on the loudspeaker.
I think it's fake.
Think it's AI?
Yeah. Fun fact, like, just real quick.
Yeah.
AI, like, tangent. I work at a university, so, like, we are exploring how we can use AI to help our jobs.
You're not allowed to use AI to do your homework, but everyone's allowed to use AI to do their jobs for them.
Right, exactly.
Because that makes sense.
And they're like, maybe I shouldn't explain this, but, like, people are, like, using AI to, like, call students. And, like,
that's crazy, bro.
You can pick, like, their personalities. And,
that's so crazy.
And we were all, like, talking about it and getting freaked out, because that's literally our job is talking to students. And so they're like, you can use the AI to just...
Are we really that gullible that we, like, don't know that, like...
hackers are gonna...
No, not that. Like, that like, there's something about the human interaction and the human connection that does more than a machine can do.
Well, and that's what's interesting, is, like, that's what people are... They're like, because AI is going to be everywhere, people are going to be craving human interaction, but also they're not going to know how to do it. But also, that means, like...
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
Some people think that means that they'll seek it out more,
right?
But they won't. Yeah. They won't know how to do it, so they're just gonna stay in their houses and be lonely forever. And
as they should.
Anyway, that's that I shouldn't have gone down that route.
I don't care. I think it's great.
I think the supervisor is AI.
Speaking of AI and the droids, how about that opening scene where the parents just get popped one by one?
That was crazy.
The stuns, dude. That was too... I love... Neil's mom was probably my favorite, though. I'm gonna take it and run. Immediately gets shot.
She like falls she falls like slowly too.
I will say I was wondering like why they're running with this thing. I'm like they're gonna find it. The droids are gonna find this beacon, and then I saw they had to like plant it so it could lift off and float up into the atmosphere. So clearly the barrier is made so that ships can't get in, but things can leave. Because in the beginning, the Onyx Cinder leaves with no problem. But I'm like, well, could that also be because it's an At-Adden ship?
Yeah.
But there's also the fact that the beacon was able to get through.
But the beacon's an At-Adden
device. That's true.
Made from At-Adden
I
materials.
I could see how it could be like a one-way barrier. Like, why would anything be leaving that's not supposed to leave?
But at the beginning, when they got through, they were like, we shouldn't have been able to get through the barrier. What?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like in the second episode or something,
No, I think it's more like they know they're not supposed to go through the barrier.
No. Shh. In the second episode, the parent, like someone... Oh, no, it's the droids looking for the cosmic event that happened. Yeah. And they said, like, a ship got through, but a ship shouldn't have been able to get through at some point.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on who said that. I just remember it wasn't the kids. It was... So I think it's, like, At-Adden material is able to get through it, and it's, like, the kind of metal doesn't attract the lightning or the electrical... shots from the barrier, but the normal metal obviously attracts electricity.
Gotcha.
That's just fact.
That's just fact.
And that's what I figured out.
Very nice, Jen. Thank you. So yeah, we're getting a lot of things are getting wrapped up here. So actually, as I assumed, the pirates get there first. They send a couple snub fighters out. They get destroyed. They see the kids on the ship. The kids get captured. Brutus dies. And then there's some pretty funny stuff about the pirate code. I loved that little scene. With the... I won't lie, I was a little moved by the hologram from the parents.
Yeah.
I was moved by that. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
I think it's because I have such a deep connection to the main cast here. These kids are great. They are awesome little actors.
I know.
They've done a fantastic job throughout. And I liked again too Wim having that moment of great. Now we're gonna go back. I have to take my stupid ass test, and then I go back to my boring life. And I've dreamt of a life of adventure. The other kids are satisfied. They're ready to go home.
Yeah.
Wim, I think, is ready to go home too. I think he's just not regretting, I think he's just dreading the fact that he won't be able to ever leave again.
Well, and this is before the hologram from his dad, and I think he thought he's also going to be in trouble with his dad. Right. Because the last time he interacted with him was him being in trouble.
Yeah, again, for missing assessments.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's part of it too, is so that hologram, I think, was also a push for Wim to be like, okay, I can go home now too. Yeah.
I like the claimsies thing on,
so funny.
The Onyx Cinder. I loved it. And SM-33 knocking Jot out was a satisfying moment. There's a lot about pirate code in this, and I think it's cool because it's the juxtaposition of just how much like the kids pirates are. Right. They have these stupid little rules that don't actually mean anything, but just because you said it has all this extra meaning now. Right. Claimsies and the right to a last appeal and none of it matters really in the grand scheme of things, but it's fun that they have that same kind of imagination. That's
a good point.
And the kids can connect with that very easily because that's how they act. in their day to day.
Right.
You know. And then I knew Jod was going to sneak on the ship, though. I think we all knew that was coming. Yeah. Yeah, they get back to the planet, and then we get like the rest of the lore dump on Aden. So we find out the parents do know what Aden really is. The kids just don't find out till they graduate, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then on top of that too, though, I don't think that the parents know that the Republic fell, the Empire came to be, and that now, now there's a new Republic. I think that they still think they're working for the now what they call in universe, they call the Old Republic, which is the prequel era Republic. I love that. I think that's really cool. Now, the real question is, did Palpatine know? That's my question. Did Palpatine know about this mint? And did he leave it hidden as a contingency for if the Empire fell to fund the First Order? Because that's a theory that I've held on to pretty much this entire show, is that this planet will have something directly to do with the First Order and how they come into power.
I mean, that would make the most sense considering there's 1,139 volts worth of credits. A pirate is greedy, but the fact that it's built like that and it's still going, I think it has to have some type of political...
I can understand the Republic hiding it.
Yeah.
And keeping its location a secret. But I don't understand, what they're going to do with it now. Because obviously the planet's not a secret anymore. Unless they kill all of these pirates.
Well, and also they're implying that they've had emissaries come and pick up credits before.
The droids know that is their programming, but right. I don't think that it's happened in a very long time, right. Because all of these people, when the ship's coming down and the landing pad opens up, no one knew that landing pad was there. True. I mean, granted, it was very cleverly hidden, but I don't think anybody knew it was there. And then
that's a good point, that it might just be like
the droid's programming is that an emissary will when they show up in one of those courier ships. Now the question is, when they go below, they go right to the vault. So are these ships, were they supposed to drop stuff off, or what was or are they just ships?
It sounds like the emissary was supposed to pick up credits to bring to Coruscant or wherever.
Right.
That's what it seemed like it was supposed to be.
That would make sense.
And that's why the droids are like, this way to the vault, and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it used to be.
Yeah. Is
you come, you pick up credits. I mean, that's what a mint does.
Yeah. It's like Fort Knox.
Yeah.
That's I love it. I love this lore that we're getting with this this planet, and I like how it was sprinkled in throughout the show, so you were never wondering too much, but you're always wanting the full picture.
Well, and the big reveal made so much sense.
Yeah.
It just of course it's a mint, and of course there's everlasting treasure on it. That's the shot. I keep picturing the shot of Jod burying his face into the waterfall of credits, and it's just
Dietaries. Republic Dietaries.
Whatever.
Republic Dietaries. Credits will do fine.
Whatever.
No, they won't. I'm a Druidarian. Mind tricks don't work on me. Only money.
So that shot, as I was explaining, I just fully encapsulated.
I happen to have a chance cube here. Sorry.
I think it wrapped up Jod's motives exactly. At that point, there's no room to argue that he, this is a facade again, or some other. This is
his real, true self, his true intentions.
How he's his goal this entire time.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the last shot?
With the lightsaber?
Yeah.
Neil's mom is done for, bro.
No.
Off with her head. Off with KB's mom's heads. Off with... Who else was there? Fern's mom is probably not going to get it. Neither will Wim's. Wim's dad might be the one to get it, bro. Dang. Wim's dad's going to go, hey, you can't do that. And then Jod's going to stab him.
I fear someone must die.
I think so. I think there's going to be some sort of sacrifice. But I do think, though...
If Neil's mom dies, I'm petitioning.
It won't make sense. No, the only one that would make sense narratively to me is Wim's dad. Now, they've just reconciled their conflict in the beginning of the show. Now it's time for someone to die. Maybe he won't die. Maybe he'll just get injured. Yeah. You know, an arm chopped off or something, or just stabbed or something.
We love a good arm chopping in Star Wars.
Yes, we love a good dismemberment.
Which is the only way he's going to get out of these bad boys.
I do see it going one of two ways. Either the supervisor is a Jedi, and this would make sense for the Old Republic, because again, all the dietaries have Old Republic cogs on them. They don't. If they were switched over with the new government, they would either have an Imperial cog or a New Republic emblem on them. It would not have the Old Republic. They would change. It's such an easy thing to change when you're in a mint.
Right.
You can leave all the old stuff as is, but as they're printing more, just change it. Either Wim is going to have a moment where he uses the Force and gets the lightsaber from Jod, or the supervisor is a Jedi because it would make a lot of sense for the Republic to send a Jedi, and that's your mission, is to just be here stationed. Because in the Clone Wars, there were Jedi that all their job was to protect or defend something super deep cut. Season 2 of the Clone Wars. Do you remember where Cad Bane was getting the holocron to find out the list of the Force-sensitive children? Mm-hmm. They capture Jedi Master Bola Rapal, who's a Rhodian Greedo species Jedi. And his job on that planet that he was on when they captured him, he was at a temple protecting a kyber crystal or a holocron, something. I forget. I haven't seen it in a long time. But that was his job. He was stationed there. He would not go back to Coruscant. That's just what he did. Mm-hmm. So I could totally see there being Jedi that were sent to places like At-Aden, and that's just all that they did.
But do you think they would introduce a character like that in the last episode? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, because it's everything that Wim thought wasn't on At-Aden. There is a Jedi on At-Aden, and he's the supervisor, and Wim and his friends get to be the kids that know the truth. Right.
So I guess my devil's advocate with that, maybe there is a Jedi there, but he would not be the one. He would not fight Jod in the final climax. Okay. Because he hasn't been introduced, I think he's going to have if it's a real thing, this Jedi could have a moment of, I'm going to protect my planet. Yeah. But I think ultimately it would still be up to the kids to defeat Jod, because that just makes sense in a plot.
They would but they can't kill him though, because it's children. They can't kill Jod.
No, and I don't think Jod's going to be killed at all.
You think what's he going to do? Go to jail?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not the writer, but I don't think they would introduce a Jedi for him to have the final glory moment.
But he's the supervisor. He saves the kids, and then Wim gets to have that interaction with a real Jedi, not Jod, who is pretending to be a Jedi.
That would be too savior complex on the nose for someone has not been in the series this entire time, it just wouldn't make sense. It would still need to be the main cast defeating the main villain in some way, whether that's through Goonies tricks or through them, like, I don't know, burying him in the vaults or something.
Yeah, dude, maybe Jod gets crushed by a...
Close the vault.
Maybe he gets crushed by a thing of credits. Boom.
Yeah. Like something like that.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't... knowing how a story... Mm-hmm. Knowing how a story works... It just... I think if there were to be a Jedi on Aden...
Yeah.
It would be a moment, but I don't think it would be the moment.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You're wrong.
No,
we'll see what happens next week. We will.
I actually think you're wrong about the Jedi, period, but that's...
Watch me be right.
That's just me.
Now...
Now that we're fighting.
Back to Tak Renad. I do kind of think that he's...
Yeah, I like that theory.
Yeah, that he is... That SM-33 is him.
I think it was... Like, he programmed himself into, like, I think it might have been a real person.
At one point,
or, but then he programmed himself into this droid.
Yeah.
I do kind of like the thought of him being the little guy, too.
Yeah, me too. I do as well.
That kind of would... make me happy.
Like maybe 33 just had more like pirate clothes on at one point, and the rat controls 33. You know? I mean, hey.
Wait, that...
It'd be funny. It makes sense too. Or I don't know, because the rat is totally like supposed to be like a parrot on the pirate's shoulder. That's totally the juxtaposition.
But also, you know, we've seen, was it Men in Black has the little guy control.
Yeah, Star Wars has done it before, and
also Harry Potter. You know, Ron's rat was a human man.
Yeah,
that whole time.
Yep.
So, spoiler alert. So you know, that's not a completely ridiculous theory.
I think it'd be cool.
I think it'd be really funny, actually.
Fun. Yeah. How do we see the show ending? Obviously, I think it's going to be happy ending, resolved in the end, like everything. Now, we have the open thread of the pirates. Is Jod going to take all the families hostage, go back to the atmosphere, grab more of the pirates, bring the ship back down, start loading it up, and then leave again? What do we... The pirates are still out there. We have to resolve this as well.
Yeah.
I actually am starting to think that the pirates will never make it to Adam at all.
I don't think so.
You know?
Because they're never going to be able to contact.
They can't make contact, and they can't. Their ship cannot get through.
No. I think... I don't know. Part of me thinks that we're not even gonna get out of the vaults until halfway through that episode. I think it's gonna be a, you know, confrontation in the vaults and Jod going through the trying to load up the ship and, you know, stuff like that. But I was thinking, I think the end, I don't know how the actual story is going to end, but I think we're going to end with, happy ending, but open-ended in a way of, like, now these kids have an itch for adventure. For sure. Rather than being stuck in their suburbia of a planet. Or it's not, like, that peaceful, and now that there's, like, people know about this planet, maybe it ends on an open note of, like, other ships showing up at Aden. Or, you know, something where things start moving along in a different way.
Or maybe we find out that if the secret is compromised, the barrier, that's how we get to a planet like Ad Akron.
Right.
Which would fit totally with the story is, okay, the secret's been compromised. Now we destroy the whole operation so that no one can get the credits. actually, now I'm starting to think
Yeah.
maybe this doesn't connect to anything at all, because maybe the treasure will be destroyed.
Yeah.
All of those dietaries will be destroyed, extinguished forever.
Last shot. I'm gonna lock this in as my theory. Last shot is the Atom being destroyed in the background and a ship going into hyperspace away from it.
And maybe they evacuate all the people onto the giant pirate frigate.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm just...
Wait a minute. I think I figured it out. Ready for this one? Here's the theory. Jod, the droids alert the supervisor that it's, you know, they have to basically self-destruct because Jod is an outsider. He's not an emissary. Or they think he's a Jedi and they like take him to the supervisor. Oh, you're a Jedi. You got to meet the supervisor, you know? Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately there will be a plot point where the whole thing has to be destroyed. The supervisor will be like, everyone, like, you know, make an announcement. Everyone needs to evacuate. Like, there's ships, like, launch them out into the atmosphere. The ships will all have the people, and then the kids will somehow defeat Jod. Jod will die, making the kids the captain of the crew. Mm-hmm. So then the kids will go back to the frigate. All the people of At-Aden will take the pirate frigate to Port Borgo or wherever else.
Right.
And then that'll be the end of it. And in the end, either At-Aden will be abandoned or destroyed or both. Mm-hmm. That's my end theory.
Yeah. I think...
Jod gets left on the planet when it gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he comes to an end.
I think the ending has to be that the kids somehow become the captains of the Onyx Cinder.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that the planet has to be destroyed.
I agree. Yeah.
We'll see. Mm-hmm. Watch, none of this happens.
None of it happens. What do you give this episode out of 10, Jen? Because I think I give it a 10 out of 10 for enjoyment for me.
Yeah, I would say a 10 out of 10. There was multiple moments that we were watching it together and we're jaw dropped,
yeah.
like frozen for a solid 2 minutes because we didn't expect that to happen. And I think that's a sign of good writing. Mm-hmm. The story makes sense.
It does, absolutely.
It shocks me, but it makes sense for what it's going for.
Yeah.
And I think that's refreshing.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add? I think we covered all the bases on this week's episode. Mm-hmm. I think we did.
But not much happened, so.
Nothing happens in this show, actually. Nothing. I don't pay attention when I watch Star Wars. I just shut my little brain off and then post some garbage content about it later. With that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Blitzcast. If you did, once again, make sure to check out all the links in the description below. Make sure to check out my Patreon announcement video. Even if you don't want to join, you can join as a free member on the Patreon, and I was just super excited about making the announcement. And then also, if you're not subscribed here on YouTube, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions, because I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. And with that, also make sure to check out the Real Normal podcast, Jen's podcast that she runs, and you can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all the platforms. Mm-hmm. With that, guys, that's going to be all for this episode of the Blitzcast. We'll catch you for the next one with the finale of the Skibbity Crew. May the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Launcher stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?